choose to challenge. So let's hear from our president, Renee, first to start us off.
Great, thank you. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Share. Can you guys see? Yes? Okay, great. Awesome. Oops. Ah, okay. All right. So welcome everyone for coming to our Women Lead Toastmaster event again. And today is March 31st, last day of March. Can you believe it? The first quarter is almost over. Thank you for being here. And for those of you maybe first time joining us, Women Lead Toastmaster is an online virtual platform for you to practice public speaking and improve your leadership styles, and through many of the workshops and also blog posts. So feel free to take a look at womanleadtm.com for additional updates. And as many of you guys know, there is the Choose to Challenge theme, right? So this month, March, is Women's History Month, and March 8th was International Women's Day. And the theme for that day is Choose to Challenge. For me, I choose to challenge ignorance, because I think ignorance is something that all of us get a chance to work on and get a chance to form an educated opinion. So given the theme, I would love to challenge all of you guys to think about what would you like to challenge. And for those who haven't seen Anita's video, she just posted it in the chat. Take a look at what she will love to challenge you all on. And also Priya did a great blog post about if you choose to challenge something, how do you think about it? So please take a look at that, and I will post the links also in the chat window shortly after I stop sharing. And here's our agenda for today. I will include a link in case some of you guys want to download following the PDF, and also some of the meeting rules for those of you who may be first time actually with us today, and this is a great way to follow along. And thank you. And now I will pass it to our Toastmasters of the evening, Shobha.
Thank you, Renee. So our theme for today is Choose to Challenge. How many of you saw the video of a hate crime that happened in New York a couple of days back, where an Asian woman was really hit, passionately hit by a fellow passerby? And there were three bystanders who actually shut the door, and they did not choose to challenge that person. So today, as Renee said, she is choosing to challenge ignorance. Let us all choose to challenge not just gender bias, not just inequality, but also any kind of hate crime that's happening out there. So let's make a pact among ourselves that we will stand up for any crime, even a racial crime or a gender crime or any sort of crime today. With that note, let's start our meeting for the day. So to help the meeting go smoothly, we have some functionary roles being performed by some of our members. To help me lead the meeting today, I have an hour counter, grammarian, and timer. But before we even go to those roles, let us start, as usual, with a leader profile of the day. To share an inspirational leader profile, we have Sujin. Sujin, can you please share the leader profile?
Thank you, Shabab. Yeah. When I heard today's theme, Choose to Challenge, the first name I thought of was Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, the psychology professor who alleged the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her in high school during his confirmation hearings. I admire her because she chose to challenge the status quo of gender bias and inequality, create a moment to break repeated patterns of shaming victims, covering and accepting inappropriate behaviors. While many people feel powerless, overwhelmed, and eventually give up when they need to confront powerful offenders or social bias. She might have already known that this is a battle she will never win. Political stake was high, Retaliation was clearly expected. However, she decided to come forward with a story to fulfill her commitment as a citizen and also keep her values. Her testimonial could not stop Governor's confirmation. She didn't win, but she didn't lose either. She showed that if you don't speak up, or even if you speak up, things will not change easily. Her defeat was a wake-up call for many people to think what they need to do to avoid seeing this kind of unfairness and injustice again. For men and women who have lived with the trauma of sexual violence, it was an invitation to speak up, no matter how powerful the accused, no matter how long ago the attack. She gave hope that people will hear their stories, while the victory is a long way. We all observed Me Too movement became a global phenomenon and touched many people's lives and created changes. So today, I would like to ask you, what's your value that you want to keep even though you expect great resistance? I hope you to choose challenging and send an invitation to others to follow, as Dr. Christine Blaze did. Dr. Christine Blaze Ford did. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Suji. And thanks for sharing such an inspirational as Dr. Christine Ford. Now for our meeting, we have an R counter, which is the role is performed by Sashi today. Sashi, can you please give a brief description of the role?
Sure, Toastmaster. So I'll be playing the role of R counter. So I'll be counting the number of R, and tongue clicks and any repetitive words in all the speeches and evaluations and table topics. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sashi. Our grammarian for the day is Jennifer. Jennifer, can you please introduce your role?
Hello, I'm Jennifer. I will be today's grammarian. I am quite the wordsmith. I'm a writer by profession and I love the languages. So I will be looking for challenges with grammar, but really I'm looking for inspiration. So I will be taking notes throughout today's meeting and letting you know how well you did with your grammar and inspirational words.
Thank you, Jennifer. Now I'll try to be super careful and be very slow and steady when I speak. I will not blabber. The timer for the day is Sarah. Sarah, can you introduce your role?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in charge of keeping time for our speakers. So if you're speaking today, just keep an eye out for me. Our prepared speeches today are all 5 to 7 minutes long. So you'll see green at 5, yellow at 6, and red at 7 minutes. Table topics are 1 to 2 minutes. So you'll see green at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2 minutes. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes, so you'll see red at 2, yellow at 2.5, and red at 3 minutes. And to qualify, speakers need to be within 30 seconds of their required time. So just keep that in mind. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sarah. With that, let's go for first session, our first session, which will be the prepared speeches session. And we have 3 excellent speakers today, all geared up to give some awesome speeches that I'm sure will inspire all of us. Our first speaker of the day is Khushbu Shah. Her title is My International Women's Day Celebration. Khushbu is also our VP of Public Relations, and I think she joined very recently and immediately took up being the VP PR. Thanks for that, Khushbu. And she's going to talk about what she did on Women's Day this year and her experience. To tell us what pathway she will be speaking from and the purpose of her speech, let me introduce her evaluator, which is Vicky Pan. Vicky, can you tell about Kushbu's speech details?
Yes, I am happy to introduce Kushbu. Her pathway is Persuasive Influence, Level 1. Her project today is Research and Present. Her speech today is my International Women's Day celebration. Kushbu is going to talk about her experience on International Women's Day and current situations. Back to you,
Kushbu?
Madam Toastmaster.
Let's welcome Kushbu.
Thank you, everyone. 5 years ago, I was working with a software company as a business analyst. It was International Women's Day. I entered the office and people were happy. I was the only woman in my team of 8 members. All of my colleagues were very happy. They had decorated my desk. There were some flowers, some gifts, and I was feeling out of the world because I was so happy getting so many gifts and everything. I was really happy. I was working on one of the idea for a couple of weeks and I was planning to present it to our CEO. I was, of course, very excited and nervous too. You're presenting in front of CEO, right? I was a little nervous too. And as the day was approaching towards the end, I approached my manager. I discussed with him that this is the idea I'm going to discuss and I want to run through it with you first. He said, let's do it. And then we went into a meeting room. I presented him idea. He really liked it. He was really impressed and I was happy. First, the great start of the day, and then great comments from your manager. It made my day. And suddenly he said, you know what, you did a great job. Just send me a presentation. I shared with him. And the next thing he said was, I wasn't expecting that. He said, you know what, you did a great job, but let someone else from the team present it. And I was furious. Why? I was the one who was working in this idea, and why all of a sudden someone else would be presenting? I tried to confront him, and the comment from him outraged me completely. I was furious. He said, you already got the good treatment on the International Women's Day. What else do you want? Let the guys of the team also shine. You already did a good job. We are done here, the conversation. I was furious. I really wanted to confront him. I wanted to shout. I wanted to say that I was the one who worked on this idea for hours and for weeks and have put extra efforts on that. Why someone else from the team is going to present it all of a sudden, but I couldn't say anything. Why? Because my appraisal was coming in soon. I couldn't say anything. I didn't wanted my presentation or a presentation or the idea that I was working to affect my 1 years of work. Fast forward today. Whenever I think of International Women's Day, I always think that why do we celebrate it? What is the reason of celebration? International Women's Day to celebrate the efforts, contributions made by the women into different ways, communities, societies, business, workplaces, and everywhere else. It is also a day to recognize the inequalities that still exist. If we go to the International Women's website, you will find tons of information about the past, the present, and the future plannings. This year's theme is Choose to Challenge. Do you know what was the first theme and when it all started? We are celebrating International Women's Day since 1909, and we are in 2021 today. How many decades? Is this just decades? Let's count again. It's centuries. It's an entire century we are celebrating International Women's Day. What was the first theme? Do you all know when it all started? The first theme was started in 1996, and the first theme was celebrating the past planning for the future. After that, it was women rights. After that, it was violence-free world against the women. After celebrating all these uh, International Women Day around this theme, have we achieved that? Where are we today? Have we achieved the gender inequalities? Have we achieved the world violence-free world for the women and children? Have we achieved the girl child education completely for everyone? There is a website, unwomen.org. It presents some great facts, which is United Nations Women's website, which presents great facts about current situation of the women and current statistics about women empowerment around the world. It says women make up to 25% into the global parliamentaries, and only 33 countries into the world have about 30% of women into their parliaments. It also says that women make only up to 13% as negotiators, only 6% as mediators, and 6% as signatories into the formal peace process. Have you all heard about the Fortune 500 companies? Fortune 500 companies, we all know them very well. Do you know how many of them are run by women? Only 7.4% of the Fortune 500 companies are run by women. I know we have taken many steps. We are moving forward with our goal. Everything is there. A journey of 1,000 miles is started with first step. And we have taken many, but there are still many left to take. Where are we going today? If we support each other, I'm sure we can achieve this goal faster. I want to circle back to the incident that I had with my manager and the mistake I did. My mistake was staying quiet. I was not able to confront him. I should have confronted him. I should have spoke up. I should have been able to share my thoughts and be fight for my own thing that I want to present that idea because I had worked on that. I urge you all, whenever you are in this kind of situation, please do not stay silent. Speak up. If you cannot fight for your own rights, you cannot fight for others. Speak up. Over to you, Taskmaster.
Thank you, Kushbu. Thanks for sharing one of your vulnerable experiences with us all today. Now, for our second speech, we have Priya Shastri, who is also our VP of membership of our club and an active member of this club.
Can we have a moment of silence to evaluate?
What about that? Let's have a moment of silence for everybody to give their evaluation.
Sorry, just to clarify, Priya, you sent 2 links and we use the second link?
Yeah, use the second link.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
the one that ended with 87 is the eval.
Yeah.
Let me quickly share it once more so that there's no confusion.
Just FYI, 1 minute is up.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. So our next speaker is Priya Shastri. And as I said before, nothing has changed in this 1 minute. She's still our VP of membership. And Priya is going to be giving her speech. To give details of her speech and which pathways it is from, let me have introduce her evaluator, which is Shannon Roberts. Shannon, can you give details of Priya's speech?
Yes, Priya is going to be speaking in the pathway presentation mastery. She is now in level 2, speech 1. The title of her speech is What is My Communication Style? And as she explains, she took the communication style quiz and obtained supportive and analytical as her styles of communication. So, Priya, what is my communication style? What is my communication style, Priya?
Thank you, Toastmaster and evaluator. What is my communication style? This was the question that was asked by one of the officers when I joined the club. I thought about it. Then the next question was, what do you want from joining Toastmasters? I quickly said, I want to improve my communication style. The journey began in Toastmasters then. I finished my level 1 and I did the level 2 questionnaire, which asked me a few questions about what my personality is, how do I react to people, how do I talk to people, do I make mental notes, do I capture the picture in a visual form? And that questionnaire told me that my communication style is supportive and analytical. Today, I'm going to delve deeper into those two topics and explain a little bit more. And I seek your feedback at the end of my speech to let me know if that made an impact. Supportive communication style is a form of communication where the speaker actively listens to the speaker speaks and the listener actively listens. At the same time, the speaker is trying to make an emotional connection with the listener. The topics for supportive communication style are usually a set of goals that need to be achieved at the end of it. The speaker is amicable, and tries to create a genuine connection with the listener. The listener and the speaker reach a favorable decision at the end of this communication. That is supportive. What is analytical? Analytical communication style is where there are specific data and statistics to back a speaker's claim. So the speaker will state her claim and have data that supports the claim. The listener will make note of that data and question or agree with the speaker. That's analytical. Let's take some examples. For example, if you are in an interview session, that is analytical because the interviewer and the interviewee are trying to share some data and reach a common ground. There is a specific claim that the interviewee is making, and the interviewer is trying to assess if that claim suits the person's role. The job description would be a data point. The resume of the interviewee will be a data point. The statistics and the experience that the interviewee carries is a data point. The interviewer, on the other hand, will have data points on personality traits and how it suits the role description. At the end of this interviewing session, the interviewer has sufficient data to make a claim. Let's understand what's supportive. For example, if I'm talking to a subordinate at work and I'm trying to find out how a project is going, I can ask an inclusive question to the subordinate to find out if he's using the correct GROW path. So GROW here stands for G, wherein what is the goal of my communication. R stands for what is reality. I'm trying to assess what is the real situation. O stands for what are the options that the person has in this scenario, in this project. And W stands for will. What is he willing to do? So I'm going to role play a little bit. I take my subordinate who's been having a problem with person B. This is person A. We enter into a meeting room. I start off by some easy communication by asking him, how is the weather? How was your commute to work? The subordinate tells me that the weather was good. I was quick to commute to work today. That sets the stage. Then I follow up with an inclusive question. What do you think is happening in project C where your partner is not performing? I have directed the subordinate to think in terms of what is the positive solution to a problem where another person is not pulling his weight in the project. So I have in some sense connected to the emotion of the subordinate. He will come back with the answers to the grow questions, the goal, the reality, the options, and the will. And we will reach a favorable solution at the end. That is supportive communication. If I am on a call with a customer service agent, that is analytical because I'm stating the problem statement, getting the customer service agent's phone number, name, so that we can connect again. That's analytical. So I intend to improve my communication style further by seeking your feedback on these two styles of communication. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Priya, for explaining to us what supportive and analytical communication styles are. Timer, let us have 1 minute for evaluating Priya's speech.
Sure. One minute is up.
Thank you, Sarah. Our third speaker of the day is Deepa. Deepa is going to talk about how to she's going to actually demystify 5G. I hope she demystifies 5GE also, which I often see in my phone. To give details of Deepa's speech, I would like to introduce our evaluator, which is Jojo. Jojo, can you please tell us about Deepa's speech?
Of course. Thank you, Shilpa. Deepa is taking the pathway of dynamic leader. She is currently at level 1. The project today is researching and presenting. As a topic of speech for today is, like what you say, demystifying 5G. Just give you some tests about this background. What is 5G? It is a buzzword around us every day. Deepa was in the market for a new phone, and one feature that kept popping up was 5G capable. And what is this 5G? And why is this entire world so excited about this technology, this feature? She went down the rabbit hole of researching about 5G, and now she is here to present what her discovery and to share with us. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Let's hear Deepa demystifying 5G. Deepa.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and thank you, Madam Evaluator. As Jojo mentioned earlier, I was in the market for a new phone. And as I was assessing the various features and capabilities, the one thing that kept popping up again and again and again was 5G capability. What was this 5G? Yes, I had read about it being this next leap into cellular technology, but I had no clue what it was. And so I started researching about it. Hello, everybody. In the next 5 to 7 minutes, I sincerely hope to demystify 5G for you. Yes. Before we even begin, I think the first thing we want to understand is what does the G in 5G stand for? The G in 5G stands for the cellular technology generation. When I was around 11 years old was when the brick-like cell phones came into the market. Wait, did I just date myself? Okay. The first generation of the brick-like cell phones was 1G. All the capability it could provide us was the ability to make phone calls. The second generation introduced messaging between these cellular phones. With the third generation, you could now use your phone to connect to the internet and use cellular data. Around 2009 was when 4G got introduced, and that's when we leapt and took leaps into the world of high-speed data downloads on your cell phone. The ability to watch Netflix on your phone, that's 4G. For 5G, according to the 3GPP consortium of industry veterans, the ability that it provides us is high speed and low latency. What does that mean? The speed at which you are seeking information and the speed at which you receive the information back is reduced when you have low latency. The other thing that 5G specification guarantees is bandwidth. What does bandwidth mean? An increased bandwidth means more number of connected devices. So the same bandwidth can allow more devices to connect. So now that we understand what 5G means, let's delve deeper. These are essentially radio waves. And what does a radio wave imply? A radio wave is an electromagnetic wave that has three properties: frequency, wavelength, and energy. So frequency is the number of times the wave, cycle of a wave passes through the same point in a second. The wavelength is the distance it travels during the one cycle of the wave. So as you can see, the higher frequency is inversely proportional to wavelength. So if an electromagnetic wave has higher frequency, it can travel a lesser distance. So what is the frequency at which 5G operates? 5G operates at two speeds, above 24 gigahertz frequency and lower than 6 gigahertz frequency. So Shobha, the 5G-E that you see is the lower than 6 gigahertz frequency. And the 24 gigahertz, more than 24 gigahertz frequency is when the wavelength, remember the distance the wave travels in one cycle, that becomes less than 10 millimeters. And that is why it's called millimeter wave technology. As far as American carriers are concerned, mainly AT&T and Verizon, both of these want to operate in the more than 25 gigahertz frequency. But what it means is that now the antennas which can transmit the electromagnetic waves need to be positioned at a lot of locations. Why? Remember, more than 25 gigahertz means the wavelength is only 10 millimeters or less, which means it can only which means it can only traverse less distance. So you need more of these base stations or cellular antenna stations to be installed all across. It's a major infrastructure investment for the carriers like AT&T and Verizon. What does it guarantee? It guarantees Stranger Things downloaded on your Netflix right away. That's what it guarantees. There are a lot of conspiracy theories around 5G. Did 5G cause COVID? Will it do anything to my system? Right? I'll tell you where it's coming from. The entire electromagnetic spectrum is divided into two parts: ionizing radiation and non ionizing radiation. When the frequency of a wave falls more than 10 to the power of 6 gigahertz, that's when it starts ionizing our body. For example, your X rays, your gamma rays, your UV rays. These are the ones that fall above the 10 to the power 6 gigahertz. Remember 5G? 25 gigahertz to 39 gigahertz. There is no way it can cause any harmful radiation to you or your body. Hopefully, we have now dispelled the conspiracy theories and know perhaps a teeny little more about 5G. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Deepa. That indeed demystified 5G and a lesson about wavelengths and frequencies too. Good. Let's give 1 minute of silence for everyone to evaluate Deepa's speech. Okay, I'm going to assume the 1 minute is up. Is it up?
Yeah, just finished.
Okay, perfect. For our next session, which makes you think on your feet and helps you give impromptu speeches. This is the table topic session for all the new members who are here. In this session, we ask questions. The table topic master asks the questions, and the members give impromptu answers. Let's welcome Samantha, who is our table topics master today. Samantha.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Hello, Toastmasters and guests. I will be randomly calling on anyone if there are no volunteers, and I will repeat the question twice. Do I have any volunteers to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Dean.
Yes.
What is your greatest challenge? What is your greatest challenge?
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. That's really easy on account of my eyesight. You see, I'm blind, legally blind on my one eye, but I don't think this is a challenge. Actually, I think it's very good for me because for one thing, being legally blind, I can park free any place at San Francisco because I have a placard, and also I pay less taxes. But let's go the other way. Actually, people who are disabled, they are very innovative because they have to survive using being resourceful to survive, and they have to use technology. So they're very technological. And also, I happen to have a great memory because on account, if you have a visual impairment, you better have a good memory or else you're never gonna be able to finish anything because you can't really write things down because it's hard for you to see. And then finally, I hope this is true because I'm supposed to be a good listener because on account, I always listen to audio book and I listen to things with my ear more often than trying to see. So I don't think that my challenge is really a challenge, but I think it's more like a gift I have. Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Dean. Do I have another volunteer? Jennifer? So Jennifer, what do you think are some important things to ask yourself before you challenge and or question others? What do you think are some important things to ask yourself before you challenge and or question others?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. What do I think is important to assess when challenging others? My goodness. The first thing that I want to ask myself when deciding to challenge is this battle worth it? Sometimes when we nitpick, it can create a division. In my mind, I find that there are 4 currencies that we deal with. Currencies such as money, time, knowledge, and relationships. In my opinion, relationships are the #1 currency because if you have strong relationships, you can get more money, you can get more time, and you can get more knowledge. So when evaluating a situation where I need to challenge something, and it happens to me all the time, I have always been in male-dominated businesses, and I am focusing on the auto repair industry currently, which has a lot more men than women. I will often find that there are phrases that seem harmless, but I have to ask people what they mean because I need to dig deeper. And I always assess, is this worth a fight? Or was this a harmless attempt at humor that fell flat? Madam Table Topics Master.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Do I have any other volunteers? No. Karen, would you like to go?
Sure.
Okay. Karen, what advice would you give others who struggle to find their voice and ask or challenge questions? Karen, what advice would you give others who struggle to find their voice and ask questions?
That's an interesting question, Madam Table Topics Master. I probably spent 25 years of my career not using my voice. And I missed thousands of opportunities to perhaps insert some sanity into some very odd situations. So I will actually highly encourage everyone to use your voice. And there's a trick. And I learned it from Adam Grant. And he says, you know, sometimes people make these little snide remarks in meetings. Have you ever heard that? Right. And you're like, wait, what was that for? Ask the question out loud. What did you mean by that? And don't wait for an answer necessarily, because you really want them to think about what they meant by that. And it's a powerful and not too in your face way to really make people start to think and have a conversation about it afterwards too. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Karen. I just personally wanted to know your answer on that. Sorry for putting you on the spot. Guinevere, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Okay, Guinevere, Describe a defining moment when you challenged yourself. Describe a defining moment when you challenged yourself.
I think I can say when I went into the 9th grade and I wanted to, I was giving a topic to research, and it was on sickle cell disease, which I hadn't known much about. So when I did go, I visited a lab, and when I entered that environment, it opened up a lot to me concerning healthcare. So I researched about, the laboratory field, and I was told by the person that owned the laboratory that it's a male-dominated field, so it shouldn't be something that I should pursue. And I listened, and I decided sometimes you observe things and you do the opposite. So it worked out that I was able to go ahead, get into the field, and made it to the very top of it. And I'm glad that I didn't listen. I challenged myself, and I was able to do that. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Guinevere. Do we have time for one more, or?
Yeah, we have time for one more.
Renee is shaking her head.
Listen to Shova. Shova is the Toastmaster for the evening.
All right, do I have one last volunteer?
I think it's 7:50, so okay. With that.
Do I have another volunteer?
Can I try?
Yes. So, all right.
This is Yvonne.
What? Yes. What is something you choose to challenge every day? What is something you choose to challenge every day?
Thank you, Samantha, for this question. Actually, I think sleep early and get up early may be the things that what I used to challenge every day, because normally I sleep very late and also get up very late. But to better benefit my health and also to benefit my energy, I think I need to sleep early and get up early. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, that concludes table topics. Back to you, Shobha.
Thank you, Samantha. When I asked Abhijit about table topics voting, he sent me 2 messages. One said there is no table topics voting today, and the second said Priya is going to actually send the form. I took the first one. I thought there was no table topics voting and told Samantha, but looks like there is no voting, but Priya still did submit a form. So let's please go ahead and vote for the best table topic speaker. Priya has put the form in the chat window.
What should be the email on the form?
Priya, what email address? Is it the member's email address you want?
No, you can put the email address that you would usually use. I have no preference.
What do you mean? Your email address, which women
no, the members email address.
Anita, your email address. Whoever is filling it
Whoever
out.
is voting, his email address. So I'm not taking the name, I'm just taking the email address.
1 minute.
While you're all voting, thank you, Sarah. Right on time. So we have to move to the third session. We had the prepared speeches session, then we had the table topic session, Now is the most important session of the day, which is the evaluation session. To lead this session, we have our general evaluator who is a seasoned Toastmaster and has helped this club being founded and get it rolling all these months. Let's welcome Anita, who as our general evaluator. Anita, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Shobha. It's great to be here. It is a wonderful meeting today, and for the guests who are joining us, evaluation is where we give feedback to our speakers, and the feedback is in a constructive format, which would help their personal growth. And we also have a section to get the reports from the functionaries. Today we had 3 great speeches, and to evaluate the first speech for Khushbu, I would like to invite Vicky to share her feedback with Khushbu.
Thank you, Khushbu, for delivering such a wonderful speech. It is so relevant. Your topic is so relevant to our club, Women Lead, and it's a topic of the moment. What a great way to celebrate the end of March, International Women's Month. I want to start with what I love about your speech. First of all, I love that you start your speech with the use of personal experience, a very specific story. I was immediately drawn into your speech to share your excitement with you, the ups and downs of your story, and I was very eager to find out what happened next. What drew me in even more is that you have wonderful body language and hand gestures, especially when you acted out your male manager when he's saying, you already get International Women's Day. Let the guys present them. So you put your hands on your hip and then you point it at the back. So at that moment, my blood was actually boiling for a minute for you. And I'm sure a lot of us relate to a moment like this, especially working here in the Silicon Valley. Next, I want to talk about improvement points. I see your effort in vocal variety when you deliver your speech. I want to challenge you to amplify even more, especially in your research and present speech, where you have included a lot of data. So, for example, when you say of the Fortune 500 companies in 2020, women held only 7.4% of the CEO roles. So if you can put some of the emphasis on the numbers, it will probably make us more aware of how little of the percentage women held in those positions. And to recap, I love that you start with personal experience to draw us in, and I commend you for your wonderful body language. I challenge you to amplify your vocal variety even more. And lastly, I want to end with one thing that I like the most about your speech. At the end, you circled back to the story and reflected what you should have done. That is an excellent use of the Chekhov gun, where every element of your story contributes to the whole, your central idea, and bring us to your call to action. As women, we should not be afraid to take action, speak up for ourselves and others. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Vicky, for a wonderful evaluation. And I hope Khushbu takes some points from there and it can help her personal, professional growth journey. Now, our second evaluator is Shannon. She will be evaluating Priya's speech. Over to you, Shannon.
Hi, Priya. Thanks for sharing your speech with us. I know that you stepped in last minute to do this, so I especially liked how prepared you were and the eye contact that you did. I thought throughout your speech that you excelled at having the analytical communication style. You explained to us the communication styles, and that definitely came across. I also really liked how you included a concrete example of working with a subordinate. It let me learn more about you. I now know that you're a manager, and I could actually see your thought process from warming them up to wanting to have that agreement in the conversation. Now, a couple things you might want to work on. When you were giving that example, you explained to us that you were going to go into role playing and kept kind of telling us which role you were in. It could be possible to use your voice or positioning to just go into that role play without needing to explain the steps to us as much, because that took me out of it a little bit. I also noticed you did a lot of hand gestures like this, and especially with the virtual background, because it kept cutting out, I was getting a little bit distracted because it was away from your body. So it could be helpful just to watch yourself do the gestures and then also see how that plays with your virtual background. I also just want to comment, and this could be wrong, but I would take a look at the evaluation form that I'm given to make sure you're meeting the purpose of the speech. There was a line that said, make sure you aren't just reporting out the communication style project. I haven't done that project, so that might not be it, but that might be wrong. I just want you to point out that it did mention not to just report out that project. And then to challenge yourself, I think you could add some more vulnerability. I think you could tell us why you wanted to come to Toastmasters and why you wanted to improve your communication style. Were the styles that you got, did those surprise you? Did they not? I think this especially can be helpful as we have people in the audience that are considering joining Toastmasters, and it can help to inspire them to see, oh, this is why I wanted to join. And then lastly, I think you could clarify your ask for feedback, so you know if people should email you or how you want to get that, just so you can make sure that you get the most out of this speech. But overall, I think you did a great job, were well prepared, and definitely exemplified the analytical communication style. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon, for giving the specific feedback for Priya. Now we will move on to our the last evaluator of the day, Jojo. She will be evaluating Deepa's speech. Over to you, Jojo.
Thank you, Anita. Deepa, I need to say that's really informative and educational speech I ever heard before. And I would like to share some of my points that you're doing something really good in your speech. I actually list out a lot of good points. First is contents, the opening. You carry on the topic to your speech after Toastmaster hand over to you. You also follow my introduction and right away jump into the topic, your speech right away. You also bring us from a place where we have no idea what is 5G. And now we all turn into the 5G experts. You also use your personal experience to set up the scenario that we always have. When we purchase a new phone, we always wonder why is 5G, why is 4G. You set up the same scenario we had before. I love your gesture. When you said that what is 5G stands for, you use your hand gesture. And you also say, wait, and you make a pose at the right moment. You also help us understand how quickly, you also use a hand gesture like this and link us to understand how fast 5G generation will be. So I love those gestures you put into in your speech. I also like your eye contact as well, especially you have a big and round eyes that really speak to us very much. And also one additional note is you use a visual support. Remember, you use a diagram to explain the frequency, the wave strength, even though I don't have a technical background, but I can really understand that, with some basic understanding. And there's more points I really want to say to you, but now I'm gonna move toward that. There's something that I hope you can work on in the future. The first thing is when because there's a researching, this speech require a lot of technical information. So when you say those technical terms, probably you can say it more clearly, articulates those terms. They will help our audience to understand the term or probably pronounce the terms several times. And I also can feel you are patient to share what you know through your speech. But sometimes to help us be more engaged, I want to see more smile from you, to be quite honest. I really love your smile, and I want to see more smile from you. They will help us to be engaged, and we can remove that distance. And sometimes I make a post, I know you did, and more posts that can help us to digest those technical information. So there's one thing that I considering talking about the challenge, I really couldn't think about anything particularly. But if there's one I'm kind of picky here, probably there will be a vocal variety. I can feel your passion, but sometimes I have just probably a personal bias a little bit. I can feel your passion, but sometimes I feel overwhelmed. And use that probably sometimes soften your voice, then can help us to be more engaged with. And overall, that's really a great speech. And thank you so much for bringing such a wonderful, informational and informative and educational speech. Thank you, Deepa. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo,
Thank you
for evaluating Deepa's speech. Now we will get to the functionary reports. I would like to call upon our timer, Sarah, to give us the timing first for the speakers, the table topics, and the evaluators.
Sure. So for timing, all of our prepared speeches qualified. Khushbu was 7 minutes, Priya 6 minutes, 27 seconds, Deepa 6 minutes and 21 seconds. Table topics, most of the speakers qualified. Dean was 1 minute, 22 seconds, Jennifer 1 minute, 26 seconds, Karen 1 minute, 20, Guinevere 1 minute, 21, and Yvonne was just a little short at 29 seconds. And for our evaluators, most of our evaluators were within the time limit. Vicky was 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Shannon was 2 minutes, 33 seconds, and Jojo a little bit over at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Thank you, and back to you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Now I want to call upon the R counter Shashi to give us the R counter report for today.
Thank you, Anita. So Khushbu had 4 and 1 1 tongue click. Priya had 8 2 1 tongue click. Deepa had 9 2 2 tongue click. Vicky had 3 2 Shannon had 2 1 tongue click. Jojo had 3 Table topics. Dean had 2 1 Jennifer had 2 2 1 tongue click. Karen had 2 1 tongue click. Juan had 3 1 1 tongue click. Ioni had 1 Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Shashi, for a wonderful account report. It was very detailed report. Now I want to call upon our grammarian, Jennifer, to give her a report.
Thank you, Ms. General Evaluator. Some golden nuggets dropped from the mouths of these beautiful Toastmasters today. Let me take a moment to share my highlights. These are not necessarily in order, just where they are on the paper, which is pretty crazy. Deepa, you had an amazing speech, and I loved when you talked about conspiracy theories. You explained it in such a way that you said, no way it can cause radiational harm to your body. Yes, thank you for giving me ammunition when talking to my mother. Evaluator number 1, Vicky Pan. What draw me in even more? I know what you meant, but the proper grammar is what drew me in even more. It was past tense, but we understood what you meant. And I'm just getting nitpicky because I know everyone wants to work on their communication. So what drew me in even more? Shannon, you said something great. It said excelled at having the analytical style. That was very nice. Karen wins the award for like the most clever sentence. Insert some sanity into some very odd situations. That was so poignant. I loved that. Sarah, you mentioned, oh, I'm sorry, Jojo. You mentioned in your evaluation, we all turned into 5G experts. Yes, ma'am, we sure did. Khushbu, you had a little tiny grammar thing, and I'm not sure if it was my hearing or if it what you actually said. You were describing past, present, and future plannings, and you had that in plural. I wouldn't say that it was plannings in plural. It was probably past, present, and future planning, but that's okay. You made up for it when you said, I want to circle back. I should have confronted him. That was wonderful. Guinevere, you said something really cool at the beginning, and I knew what you meant, but it wasn't really clear. It said, when I entered that environment, it opened up a lot to me about healthcare. Opened up what? Your eyes, your understanding, your knowledge, but then you made up for it because at the end you said, sometimes you observe things and do the opposite. Brilliant. Loved it. That was fantastic. Oh, also, oh goodness, speaker number 2. I'm sorry, I've forgotten. I wrote, oh, Khushbu? Was it Khushbu? Who was speaker number 2? I'm sorry.
This is Priya.
There we go. I'm sorry, Priya. Thank you. Thank you.
Jennifer, in interest of time, if you can take the highlights.
Sorry. One more thing. You use the word subordinate. As a business owner, I wanted to just caution you. I know subordinate is a technical term, but it's not heartwarming, and it's not one that creates loyalty. If you use team member,
sure,
that would make them jump through hoops for you. Anyway, thank you for tolerating my lengthy grammarian
it's all
report.
good. Thank you.
I hope it was helpful.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for a detailed report. Sarah, if you can give me maybe around 2 minutes, I'll try to give the general evaluation of the meeting so that we have time to cover other agenda items.
Sure.
Yeah. So today's meeting, it started on time. Renee, as usual, did a wonderful job of introducing the theme. She had good slides on how we can choose to challenge during the Women History Month. Our Toastmaster of the day, Shobha, she gave very specific examples and then introduced the theme on choose to challenge. We had Shujin, who gave a great profile of the day on how Dr. Christine Bliss, she went about choosing to challenge the status quo. So that was very appropriate for the theme. We had table topics, which were also with the theme, which were very well chosen, Samantha, but great job on that. So there are the few areas that I wanted to talk about today are, one is table topics. So this is the section we can improve upon. Table topics is about impromptu speaking, how we can improve our thinking on the feet. And one of the mistakes we are doing in the meeting for the table topics is that we are always asking for a volunteer or a person and then asking a question. Usually we should ask a question first so that people can start thinking about it, and then call upon a person instead of asking for a volunteer. So that's this is usually the format which is followed in table topics, so that everybody can start thinking about topic, and then you choose a person and then they start sharing their thoughts, and you start with the people who don't have the major roles. You go with the with the you look at the attendee list and start picking the people from the attendee list and include the guests as part of that. So that's one feedback that I wanted to give on the meeting. With respect to the speeches were wonderful speeches, given that we had all these new Toastmasters who came in and joined this club around 3 to 4 months ago. It's phenomenal to see the growth of not just the speakers, but the evaluators. The evaluations were spot on. They were constructive about talking about the specifics on what the speakers did well and the key nuggets and the advice on what they could address in their future speeches. Overall, it was a great meeting, and it's good to see how this club is growing and how the members are growing and taking different roles. Thank you so much. And over to you, Shobha.
Thank you, Anita. Indeed, in a short while of 3 months from the time the club started, we have come a long way, I should say, with all the members doing excellently. Now for the winner of the table topic session, we have two winners today. Jennifer and Dean are the winners. Let's give them a big hand. With that, we conclude the session for today, and I would like to give the control back to our president, Renee, to go over the club, I guess the agenda for the next week and the guest feedback. Renee, back on to you.
Thank you. As always, I would love to end on a quote to inspire us all. In the future, there will be no female leaders. There will just be leaders. Until then, choose to challenge. Thank you all for being here today. And the next couple slides, I will go into actually a couple announcements. So first of all is Lakshmi, who couldn't be here with us right now, but she actually won our area international speech contest. So let's just give it up to her. And she will represent our club to compete in Division D. And I'll send out additional details in the email to follow shortly. And I just thought to quickly put together another slide on who we are actually, because I think for many of your speeches, you're challenged to actually put a speech together that are relevant for your audience. But that's hard when you don't really know who's actually in the audience, because many of us don't get one-on-one time with the members, where the officers, we do take time to try to meet with every single one of us. So now we actually have reached people from more than 50 countries, a very diverse group of people with different backgrounds. So do please be mindful of your word choices. And earlier when Jennifer mentioned that instead of using subordinate, use team members, those are really good advice. And anyone, everyone, this is our responsibility to keep us all actually informed on what word choices is more global to use. And we come from different backgrounds, not just in tech. We have lawyers, we have accountants, we have farmers, we have teachers, we have people that are not savvy in tech. So when you put together technical content, like what Deepa did today for 5G, awesome. She gave a speech with the audience with no technical background, and that's where we need to keep in mind in the future. We come from really great schools. We are all very well educated and respectful people. And we are small business owners, and we also are very technical. We have technical leaders and also fresh out of college and some still finishing college as well. So this is the group of community that you have, and some of them are here today, not all of them. So a lot of them depends on kind of their background. They kind of pop in and out, depends on the week and the theme. So again, for those of you who are paying members, right, please submit the speech session selection if you haven't yet, but BG is already on the way to schedule all of our speeches. Priya also just sent out an email to a few of you guys who haven't actually accessed your pathway yet. In that email, there is a YouTube link, and also Shobha, our club mentor, have done a training on accessing your pathway. If any of you guys haven't done so, please reach out to us if you have any questions, all right? And for the next one, we have our April monthly pop-up workshop, Humor 101, on April 7th, and feel free to tune in for that one. Our regular meeting, April 14th, the theme is Effective Women Leadership. And we already have 4 speeches lined up for that. So I'm very excited for this. And recently, thank you, Karen, for introducing another great Toastmaster member who's been in the community for quite some time. She'll be giving us a workshop on Friday. on how not to get burned out. I think it's a timely topic for many of us who sits in meetings every day. So feel free to tune in. And I think it's going to be a wonderful workshop. I checked out some of her previous ones already. So thank you, Karen, for that introduction. And April 28th, the last meeting of April, personalized communication. It's extremely important to communicate using the right words, especially these days, many of us are using email and text messages instead of actually in person. So how do you make sure to personalize communicate with your peers or upper management or team members? And we do have a very good teams in terms of officers this term, and this term will actually officially end June. So for any of you guys who want to contribute back and maybe look to actually become a next term of officers, feel free to reach out to us and learn a little bit more about what that responsibility looks like and potentially be up for an election if there's positions that you're interested in. And we are on all of the major social media channels. So I will paste them here in the Slack, in the chat window right here. You can join us on Slack, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. We are there always 24/7 available for you all. And for the paying member, Kushbu just started a WhatsApp. It's a bit more closed group. And for the paying members, if you need additional support, reach out to us over text messages. So thank you, Kushbu, for that. All right, we are 1 minute over, apologies, but I would love to actually stop sharing now and get some guest feedback. I know some guests are very shy. If you prefer not to come off camera, that's okay. You can fill in the form, but if those who do want to come off camera and say a few words, that will be lovely. And with that, I want to thank the rest of you. Thank you for being here, and good night. And how are some of the guests? Well, how's your experience today?
Really good, Renee. Good speeches. Thank you.
Yeah, it was very helpful and insightful. So thank you for all the speeches.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for being
here today. I enjoyed the variety of speeches, and I love the personalities that came forth in presenting them. And I enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really good speeches and really well-run meeting, and the table topic was really good.
Thank you.
And evaluation was incredible. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Dean, I would love to follow up with you actually. Personally, I didn't know you have the the disability, and I want to make sure this online event is actually easy, accessible for people.
Actually, Zoom is one of the more accessible things. There's other tools that I won't mention the name because someone else might be listening, but Zoom's actually one of the better ones. So it's
awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, if there's anything else that we can make your experience better and easier, do let us know. You're here to help us help you. Thank you for being here. All right, anyone else? Okay, if not, we'll officially adjourn the meeting. Officers will stay behind to answer any additional questions. Maybe you have some questions about what is Toastmaster, how does usually a meeting work, how to become a member. We are here for you. Just stay behind, and for the rest of you, enjoy a glass of wine and choose the challenge.
See you next night.
By the way, guys, I recently, just in case you're interested, I recently found an RBG wine. So I just ordered it, and I just thought to like share it with you guys. It's so cool. So this winery, they actually have a theme. They're more like theme based, and RBG is like their current theme. They're about to sell out this current brand that they have, and then after that, they're gonna go into the next wave of the theme. Like, what is the next wave that they have? I actually don't know what the next wave is, but the RBG one, I just ordered a case of 3, so I'm like super excited. I was like, I'm on point today, having like the RBG outfit, and that I am not in any way have a relationship with that company or at all. I think they found me and targeted me, so I don't know how great the wine is either, but just thought to share. Yeah.
Love the collar, Renee. That's awesome that you're doing
This is from Karen. Karen sold it and then gave it to me as an inauguration gift. And I'm wearing this, and thank you everyone for making this happen.
Nice.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?